I think so. We had 10.
These guys look awesome.
Oh yeah, these are.
It's just fun just opening these, actually.
Honestly, yeah. Like
It's just fun just opening these, actually. Honestly, yeah.
So, Shadow of War was one of the biggest games at the center of the whole loot box debacle last year. Star Wars Battlefront 2 obviously garnered the most attention because, well, people love Star Wars and also love to hate EA. But I was also having meltdowns around that time that many of you probably watched over the Shadow of War loot boxes, primarily because Shadow of War was a mostly single-player game. There is this online mode where you build your base and other players try to siege it and vice versa, but you're not actually playing with other players. This was my biggest fear as the loot box infection was growing, that single-player games were next. We were going to be expected to, quote, deal with it by these developers, publishers, and their spineless followers who buy into this garbage. Now, WB Games has announced that they are going to be working towards updates that remove loot boxes from Shadow of War, and I love this here, citing that they messed with the core premise of the game. When did this game come out? It was like October, I think. We're now announcing the removal hasn't actually gone through yet, but you're announcing that you're removing this BS in April? Wow, good on ya. Too little too late, more like too little way too late. And I'm glad this article also mentioned, this is on Games Radar by the way, the issue this caused with the Shadow Wars portion of the game, and the team will be rebalancing that. This is exactly where I fell off playing this game. If you're not aware, once you sort of beat the game, you begin this sort of endgame system called Shadow Wars to get to the actual ending, which involves you struggling to take and keep fortresses in-game with your army. Without a bunch of really strong guys on your team, this is very difficult, but again, necessary if you want to make it to the actual end of the game. So you'll have to grind to get stronger allies as well as make them even more powerful, or you can just buy loot boxes and pull them from there. This portion of the game seemed designed specifically to milk players out of their money just so they can get to the end of the game. Now, just thinking about it, I'm starting to get pissed. So now they want to remove the loot boxes and tweak this aspect, and everything's fine, right? Everything's good? No. Like, as someone who paid full price, got in on day one, you're telling me, oh, we're fixing that greedy crap we put in there to get people to spend more money that directly caused you to stop playing the game over a half a year later. Now come back and finish up. Screw you, I'm done with that game. I've moved on. And this sort of crap is what burns me with loot boxes in general. I know most of you are like, oh, if it's cosmetic, it's fine, and I get that. But still, they tried to pass this off as something that still wasn't going to be a big deal, mostly for the multiplayer mode, which still would have sucked, because that basically becomes who can blow the most money. What a great competitive game, by the way. But you misled, and you already took the money. I mean, it's not like you're giving refunds to the people who bought into this. I'm sure they get to keep their stuff, but the majority of the money a game like this is going to make off loot boxes is in the first few months. I mean, how many players, let's be real, how many people are still playing Shadow of War right now? By this time, they probably barely have anyone spending money on loot boxes anyway. It seems like a cheap PR move. They already got most of what they were going to get out of these loot boxes, and so now they pull them out and expect people to cheer for them. Oh, like, good job, thanks guys. Can't wait to get back into the game and experience these changes. F*** you. Seriously. You're not heroes doing your players a solid. You were scumbags then, and you're scumbags now. And we had EA do something similar recently too, didn't we, with Battlefront? Loot boxes are back. Now they're just the cosmetic ones. But that doesn't change the money they took at the beginning. EA had to take theirs out much more quickly because the backlash towards them was way more harsh. And while I'll say getting these changes were victories for the players, for the consumers, I'm hardly about to sing the praises of any of these companies. You know what? Going forward, I want people's jobs when this crap happens. You know, people in the higher up positions, the ones that want to peddle this crap, they should be fired when this stuff happens. And I know people, when I say I think people should be fired over something, they want to jump to the defense like, oh, come on, it doesn't need to go that far. These people are working probably long hours trying to figure out exactly how much, they can siphon off of you and how they can get away with it, okay? These are hardly people you need to be jumping to the defense to. If companies like EA or WB Games were to do some serious house cleaning, again, at the top, That would appease me. Fire some of these people that are making these dumb decisions. When the new guy's promoted, when the new guy steps up, let him know, hey, just reminder, the guy who had your job before you, he was fired because he pissed off the fans. Good luck. Because I'm so sick of this, and I'm sick of the people that defend these practices. Oh, they need to make money somehow. How about making money off a great game that sells? Loot boxes in Shadow of War. Where are the loot boxes in Witcher 3? Did that game not make any money? They must be pretty hidden. I played over 100 hours in that game. I didn't see one loot box. Nintendo, where's my, any Nintendo Switch game that has loot boxes? One of Sony's biggest games of the year is releasing in a couple weeks. God of War. A fan asked on Twitter, is there going to be microtransactions in the game? Response, no frickin' way. That's how it should be, people. Make a game that's great, budget appropriately, and it will sell. Don't have these loot boxes and bullshit microtransactions in your game at the beginning, and then you won't be dealing with all this stuff now. Alright, if I don't end it here, I'll just keep rambling. Essentially, just because you fixed a mistake that you caused doesn't mean you've done something noble. And to me, sometimes it makes what you did seem even more dastardly. Let me know your thoughts on these recent developments in the loot box wars in the comments. As always, I'm John Zakari, and thanks for watching.